if you don't make a move when the time is right, then you're going to lose out. You're going to lose that girl, and you will very, very likely never see her again. Okay, that is the stark reality of the dating marketplace that we find ourselves in today. It's just the truth, I'm afraid. It's just the way it is. So what do I mean by that? Well, basically, I will frequently get clients coming to me with stories about girls that they are pursuing, girls that they're involved with, situations where perhaps, the guy's met somebody off one of the dating apps or through social media or even face-to-face in a bar, back in the days when we could do that. And he's having a conversation with this girl over, say, text, over Messenger, WhatsApp, whatever. And things feel like they're going pretty well, right? He's getting some traction. She's responding quickly. She's coming back. She's laughing at his jokes. She's volunteering additional conversation. She's really engaged with this thing. And there's a real sense of sort of like momentum in the interaction. There's a real sense that this is moving forwards somewhere. And what will often happen is the guy will then, he'll come to me and he'll say, okay, so what do I respond to this particular message? What do I say because she said this? What do I say because, she said that? How do I respond? Etc., etc., etc. And invariably, what I will always say to the client is, well, look, have you asked her for a date yet? Have you asked her to come out and meet you for drinks? And 9 times out of 10, the guy will say, well, no, I haven't yet because I didn't feel like the time is right. I don't feel like it's quite the right moment for me to do that yet, and I don't want to risk like jinxing this thing, like messing this thing up. I want to, ensure that I've built enough rapport between us first. I want to ensure that, there's enough there before I make that move of asking for the date. And most of the time, that is a grave mistake, and most of the time that way of operating is going to end up with you, as I say, just completely losing out. In the end, the trail is going to go cold, the girl is going to lose interest, she's going to pull away, she's going to stop replying to the messages as frequently, and the whole thing is just going to disappear in front of you, and you're going to be sat there thinking, what happened? We were getting on so well, how come this is all ruined now and, she's not talking to me anymore? And the reason is you didn't pull the trigger, you didn't make your move when the time was right. It's a real mistake. And seriously, guys, I can't tell you in my own life the number of times that I have missed out on potential opportunities for not striking while the iron was hot, as the old expression goes. You need to be nimble, you need to be prepared, always to be moving the situation on to the next level. Now, I was actually dealing with a client the other day, and he was talking about this exact phenomenon. And in his particular case, what he was saying was, and he was very candid about this, he was very upfront and kind of like honest and very self-aware, which is great, because if you're self-aware about something, then you're on the road to repairing it, right? So, but anyway, he was saying, listen, Troy, the reason that I don't push forward, the reason that, I get into these conversations, but I don't ask for the date, the reason that I don't, move things on to the next step, which I know that I should be doing, is because I'm afraid of what happens if I do. And there's fear both of failure, but there's also fear of success there, because the fear of success is kind of like, well, what if I ask her for the date and she says yes? Well, then I've got a whole new set of problems, because then I've actually got to go out on the date with her. Then I've actually got to I've got to sit in front of her in a bar for a couple of drinks, and I've got to then do all of that. And, and what people realize, I think subconsciously, is that the closer you get to where you want to be, the closer you get to the end game in the process of dating, the higher the stakes feel. Because if you've ever, gone all the way down the line with somebody that you really like, and then at the end, just as you're about to, say, well, why don't you come back to my place, or why don't we take things further, or whatever. And if just at the end, the person says, well, actually, no, sorry, I'm not interested, that somehow feels 100 times worse than if they'd have just said no right at the start. Because it's a sunk cost fallacy, isn't it? You've put all of that time into the interaction, you've done all of this stuff, and you feel like you got so near and yet so far. And sometimes people don't want to risk that. Sometimes guys are kind of like afraid that if they, so to speak, pull the trigger, then that is going to potentially go wrong. it's not going to get them the result or the response that they were hoping for. And if they get rejected at that point, it's going to crush their ego. And this is what it really is. It comes down to. It's fear for one's ego. It's fear of not living up to one's idea of oneself as being, adept in this type of interaction, being good in these situations with women. And it's a real fear that holds a lot of people back. And I see this all the time. And here's why it happens, or here's another reason why it happens. It's because we quite like to be in that area where things are uncertain, because then there's still hope. Okay, so if you're messaging her and you've met her and she's attractive and she's messaging you back and you're getting those little pings of dopamine when she messages you back, and you're feeling good about that, subconsciously you don't want to endanger that by saying, okay, well look, let's meet for drinks, because if she says no, then you know that those little dopamine hits from her responding to your messages and everything it's going to go away, right? Because she said no and you've reached, it's like the end of the game. You have to go back to the start with somebody else. And that is a tough thing for people to countenance, really. That's a tough thing for people to have to get their head around. And so they want to stick, like my client, in the sort of like the safe zone where it's looking positive, but you're not really putting it on the line. And I suppose the message of what I'm saying today is you need to be prepared to put it on the line. You need to be prepared to make the move, because what usually happens is that you will get a window of opportunity within which you are able to make a move, within which you're able to say, okay, well look, we're getting on really well on this app, why don't we speak on WhatsApp? Or we're getting on really well on WhatsApp over message, but I'd love to meet you in person, so let's meet up and let's go for drinks. Or, whatever it is, moving on to the next stage, you have to keep doing it, and you have to be prepared that sometimes you are going to lose out. You have to be prepared that sometimes it's not going to go your way, and for whatever reason, they choose not to join you in that next step, to come out for a drink with you, to come and watch Netflix with you, whatever it is. You've got to be prepared for that. But look, here's the thing, right? If you don't make that move, then you're going to lose out anyway. So isn't it better to lose out when you're trying to move things forward, which is what you should be doing? I would argue, yes, it is. You need to be pushing the interaction onwards at all times. And you need to be also weeding out time wasters as well, because some people are time wasters. Okay, you'll get into these interactions, you'll think this is amazing, she's responding to all my messages, she loves the banter, we're getting on great, but she never had any intention of coming out to meet you. She never had any intention of this turning into anything more than just some chat on over Facebook Messenger or Instagram or whatever it is. So you need to be very, very careful of those people, and you need to be prepared to, as I say, to push forward to the next level, to really test the connection that you guys have and say, okay, well, look, we're getting on well here. Let's go and meet for cocktails. And, if she says no to that, then that's fine. That's absolutely her right, to do whatever she wants. But at least you know where you stand, and at least you can move on to the next interaction. You can move on to the next person, okay? So this is not about being sort of like pushy or like overly forceful or anything like that, but it is a little bit like saying, well, okay, this is the frame in which we're operating here. This is how I see this. I see us meeting up for drinks. I see us moving forward and, maybe starting to date or whatever. And, you need to put that out there on the line, because she's likely not going to do it. And if you don't do it, she might either think he's not interested, which is not good, because then her ego might be hurt and she might just say, okay, well, he's not interested, so I'm going to move on. Or she might think he's not bold enough to go for what he wants, and that's not going to paint you in a good light either. So, have polite banter backwards and forwards, a bit of a laugh over Messenger and everything, but you need to be always moving things on to the next level, because if you don't, there really is a very good chance that you will lose her, you'll lose that interaction, and you won't see her again. And somebody asked me the other day, can you recover from this? Well, anything's possible, right? I mean, yeah, maybe. Sometimes you can recover from it, but most of the time, no, you probably can't. Once that window of opportunity has passed because you've failed to jump through it, then a lot of the time, that's it, and you will never get another opportunity. So bear that in mind. You do need to go for those opportunities as and when they arrive. Okay, listen, I'm going to leave it there for today. Do grab Renegade Dating Blueprint, which is my collection of 11 books about all of the stuff I've talked about today: dating, game, the dating marketplace, all of those kinds of things. The link is below, so do grab hold of that. Also, get on my email list. I send out a daily email Monday to Friday, free article. Absolutely no sort of charge for that or anything. It's just a way for me to keep in contact with you and get content out to you on a daily basis. So do sign up for that below. And if you're interested in taking this further, then do be aware that my course, which is called Charisma and Dating Academy, is going to be open for 5 days on the 30th of April until the 4th of May. There'll be more details on that coming up soon. Join the email list in order to get up-to-date information on that. And I will see you again very soon. Bye-bye.